Hello there, welcome to Project Firefist and welcome to the documentation video for the start of the helmet rebuild series here. This is just documenting and providing informational resource on, in this case, the disassembly of a Deathwatch Black Series helmet from Hasbro. This is a fantastic baseline helmet. I did a little video on it in the video prior, which is part of the helmet rebuild series. But this is a real true start to it, right? Because this is disassembly. Now, the reason we're doing this, or the reason I'm doing this, I should say, and then people would be doing this, is for approval status, typically. Because you're going for costuming to be of that caliber where you can get approval with a costuming club. Otherwise, if you're not, you can just repaint it and keep it as is, or just, and whatever else, and enjoy it because it's fine. But for getting approval status, work needs to be done, and there's no easy way out of this. Doesn't matter if you're going a 3D print route or one of these helmets, there's work to be done unless you're paying a premium, right? In which case you're paying to get the work done, and money itself is still no easy feat. Anyways, with that said, Hasbro has several Mandalorian helmets. They have the Mandalorian, Beskar, Din Djarin helmet. They have Boba Fett Rearmored, Prototype Boba Fett, and this Deathwatch helmet. Now, I don't know if they're offering all of those at the same time currently or for how long, but there has been that many I know of thus far from the Black Series. And as far as Boba Fett, Prototype Boba Fett, Rearmored Boba Fett, and Deathwatch, it's basically the same mold with the exception of the dome piece, and therefore the same detail and stuff that's on there, and the same interior verbatim. If you check out one of the teardown videos that are out there, because the way has been paved, there are teardown videos out there, I encourage it. Those will work for any one of those four helmets. Now, on a production standpoint, I have to imagine Din Djarin's helmet goes together very similarly. If I was a company, I would do that for ease of production and cost and everything. But I can't say 100% because I haven't taken one apart or seen one in person, or really anything about one. But I wouldn't expect it to be too crazily different. So, with all of that said, teardown. What's really important about doing a rebuild, doesn't matter what you're doing, a clock, costuming, a car, whatever, is organization and documentation. So in this case, all these pictures for this slideshow that's going on here is my documentation for me, and I'm paying it forward and showcasing, right? And talking about it. But it's important to have that. That way, if you're looking to go back together or doing any sort of modification, you can look back and see, okay, this is how this attaches. This is what this is, or whatever. Organization is equally important. You want to make sure your screws, nuts, bolts, whatever else, right, are going where they're supposed to go and that you're not missing any. In the case of this helmet, I used sandwich bags and a Sharpie. I wrote left ear, right ear, back vent, etc., whatever. And I took those specific parts apart, put the screws in those bags and any other pieces in those bags. Particularly if they're small pieces so I don't lose them. This makes it so much easier to go back together. So the more organized and detail-oriented and the more documentation you do, the smoother it'll go, because you don't know how long it's truly going to take you to do a whole rebuild series like this, or your own rebuild, right? Maybe a course of a weekend if you're just powering through like crazy, but if you can't devote a whole like 48 hours straight to doing something, it could take weeks. Entirely plausible. So the more documentation and organization, the better. With that said, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. That's all the screws that are in this is a Phillips head. One of the like smaller sizes, nothing too large, right? Remember, while the screws are metal, they're screwing into plastic threads. So it won't be hard to disassemble it, and you don't want to hulk out on it when you're reassembling. This is an FYI. So, with all of that said, first step really is the physical ear caps. I don't know why I said physical. The exterior ear caps on the side of the helmet. Popping those off will expose screws to take, stuff apart for the interior. So you got to pop those off. That was my biggest worry for this whole project, because whenever things snap together like that and I'm trying to pop it off, I'm always concerned of cracking something or breaking something. But I didn't do that. It came apart just fine. I wasn't super babying it, but I wasn't also just being careless. I used a thin but wide plastic wedge to avoid gouging, and I recommend doing something similar. But if you're careful, kind of feel it out, see where the different tabs are, you should be able to pop it out no problem as well. The nice thing is, given how it does go together and what we will be doing, like seam sealing and the like later on, if something was a little damaged or got a little bit too loose, it should still be affixed fine in the final assembly. But best not to worry about that if you can avoid it. After popping those off, you can start unscrewing stuff on the outside and going to the inside. And to that effect, make sure again you're organizing everything. The only parts that are glued in, particularly for my teardown level, and I think in general, are the earpieces that the screws from the exterior screw into. And once you unscrew everything, you can kind of flex them until the glue fractures and the piece comes out. It'll sound like you broke something, but it's just the glue. Hopefully, anyway. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it should be just the glue because the glue fractures before this plastic will do anything if you just rock it back and forth. When you take things apart, take your Sharpie and write on the back of it L and R. Some of these pieces have it already molded into the back to kind of be locators for where they go. Even still, the bigger you can write it, the more obvious you can write it on the back of the parts, the easier it will be just for you to take it later on, you know, after doing your painting and whatever else, and just reassemble it. So that's why I recommend really kind of considering that. The brown rubber pieces on the kind of back panels there, the two on the left and right side, they are not glued to the black plastic. They'll fall right out. That's no problem. You might want to kind of tack glue them in when you go back together just so they hold in place when you screw it, but it should be just fine. The front visor area, that is a big interior piece with a crossbar on it that, you know, to help for making the helmet more rigid. It's very nice, but it's also what holds the visor in, and it's also what holds that little detail piece on the right cheek in. That's not glued to the helmet. That just will fall right out. That should go in a bag, even though you're going to repaint it because you don't want to lose it. It's small, and I will probably glue it to the helmet once I'm done, just to help keep it from spinning and being loose or whatever else. But anyways, speaking of the visor front area though, because that trim piece keeps the visor in check, when you pull the visor out, even if you're going to replace it with the whole typical way of doing it, which is getting the grinding faceplate visor replacements and cutting a shape to it, even if you're going to do that instead of tinting, keep the visor protected and safe. Since I want to tint it, what I did is I put it in a gallon bag, a gallon sandwich bag thingy, if you will. And I did that to kind of protect it from the quote-unquote elements, sealed it up so that way dust and stuff and any potential scuffing, whatever, has a harder time of happening because it's in a little bit of a protective seal, that bag. And that's really it. You take your time, you document, you put things in bags, you carefully take the visor out, and before you know it, you'll get your helmet to a point where you could stop. And this is where I stopped. The front plate, the rear plate, and the dome are connected on my helmet still. I didn't take the dome interior trim off. I didn't do any of that. All that's together for me. The reason for this is when I was looking at it, I didn't really feel a need to go any further. And for me, having the helmet in that shape, kind of somewhat intact, if you will, minus the earpieces, it just makes it easier to envision and see what I want to do to it. You know, obviously seam filling and or filler and everything else is whatever, but when we get eventually to that painting stage, it'll just be easier for me to see exactly what I want to do, so that's why I did it that way. But plenty of people take it fully apart, not a big deal. I just figured, why do that if I can avoid it, and I don't feel like I need to because, well, I see the whole project better in that state. So that's where I stopped, but you can definitely take it fully apart if you want to, if you feel you can handle it better that way. Anyways, with all that said, the Deathwatch helmet has a bit of a wash effect on it, like a black paint style wash, to kind of darken it down and weather it up a bit. And that does come off with isopropyl alcohol, and it doesn't damage the plastic, but it takes a while, and it's not really worth it. So I have another idea I'm going to try, and I'll talk about that in a follow-up video for getting the helmet ready for filler and sanding and everything else. So just worth noting. Anyways, with all of that said, that's basically all I got for you for this helmet. It's still, I think, a fantastic purchase to start off with if you want to do your own Mandalorian helmet and not go the 3D printed route. And you know, taking it apart just, I think, gives you a better appreciation and understanding of your costuming. So that's always cool too. But right now, after about maybe 20 minutes worth of work in total, the helmet is apart and ready to go on. And that's exciting because I know sanding, filling and sanding is going to be a long process, but once we finally start getting to doing the base colors, it's going to really become a truly fun project for sure. Not that I'm not enjoying myself, I am. It's just that it's going to be definitely a bit more work and less fun just to get all that sanding, which is what we're getting to real quickly, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, that's all I got for you on this one. If you've done this yourself, share your wisdom, share your thoughts. Let's be encouraging in the comment section, because this is, again, something kind of silly and crazy to do for a costuming thing, and we already can dissuade ourselves easily enough. So let's all just be encouraging. If you happen to stumble across this, share your thoughts, any wisdom you have, so we can all be better for it. And thanks so much for stopping by. If you made it this far, that's awesome. I hope to see you on the next one. And until then, take care.